I recently heard something on a podcast that stopped me in my tracks. It said fitting in is the greatest threat to belonging. And at first I had to sit with that because I thought they were the same thing. Fitting in, belonging. Don't they both mean being accepted? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized they're not just different, they're opposites. You see, fitting in is what you do when you're afraid of being left out, and belonging is what you feel when you're fully seen and still chosen. Fitting in requires you to edit yourself, whereas belonging invites you to be yourself. Fitting in is performance, while belonging is presence. And one of the brutal truths that I've had to learn is that most of us spend our entire lives trying to fit in, calling it belonging, and wondering why we still feel alone. Because fitting in, it was never designed to make you feel connected. It was designed to make you feel safe. Safe from rejection, safe from judgment, safe from being the one who stands out, or who's too much, or who doesn't get the joke. And so we learn early on in our lives. We try to figure it out what's acceptable and become that. We watch how people dress, talk, or laugh. We study the social scripts, and we mold ourselves to match every room that we're in. And to be honest, it works, or at least we think. We get invited, we get included, we get to stay, but we don't get to be ourselves, because the version of you that fits in isn't the full version of you. It's the edited version of you. It's the one with the edges smoothed out, or the one where the weird parts are hidden, or the one that says what people want to hear instead of what you actually think. And I don't know about you, but what I've learned is that it's exhausting. You have to keep performing, because the moment you slip, the moment you show too much emotion or too much opinion or too much of the real you risk losing your spot. And so you choose to stay small, you choose to stay safe. You stay stuck in a cycle of being included but never truly known. And see, that's the trap. Because what we really crave isn't inclusion, it's belonging. And belonging can't happen when you're hiding. And you see, psychologists make a clear distinction between the two. Fitting in is about assessing a group and changing yourself to be accepted, whereas belonging is about showing up as you are and being valued because of it, not in spite of it. So one is conditional, while the other is unconditional. One says, I'll accept you if you match us, where the other one says, I'll accept you because you're you. And this is where it gets even deeper. Research on social identity shows that humans have two competing psychological needs. The need to belong in a group, you got connectedness, and the need to maintain individuality, distinctiveness. You see, we want to be a part of something, but we also want to be seen as someone. And when you prioritize fitting in, you sacrifice individuality for the sake of connectedness. You get the group, but you lose yourself. And the irony is that you don't actually feel connected, because deep down you know they don't really know you. They know the version of you that you're showing them, the curated one, the safe one. And so even in the room full of people, you feel isolated. Even being surrounded by so-called friends, you feel unseen. Because connection without authenticity is just proximity. It's being around people without actually being with them. And that's why fitting in is the greatest threat to belonging. Because it convinces you that acceptance is enough. That being tolerated is the same as being loved. That performing is the same as being present. But it's not. And the longer you live like that, the more disconnected you become. Not just from others, but even worse, from yourself. Because when you spend years hiding who you really are, you start to forget yourself. You start to lose touch with your own voice, your own presence, your own preferences, your own truth. And you become so good at reading the room that you stop knowing how you actually feel. You become so practiced at being what people need that you forget what you need. And one day you wake up and realize you fit in everywhere, but you belong nowhere. Not even with yourself. And so here's my opinion on all of this. We have to stop chasing fitting in. But now, don't get me wrong, okay? This is not because community doesn't matter. It does. And this is not because connection is not important. That's important as well. But because real community and real connection, real belonging, it doesn't ask you to shrink. It asks you to show up fully, honestly, and imperfectly. And I understand this is terrifying. Trust me, I know firsthand. But I want you to know also, when you stop performing, when you stop editing yourself, when you stop trying to be what everyone wants, some people will leave. Some groups won't feel like home anymore. Some friends will fade, and that's going to hurt. But here's what I've learned. The people who leave when you stop performing were never your people to begin with. They liked the version of you that made them comfortable. They didn't love the real version of you because they never really knew the real you. And losing those connections, it's not rejection. It's clarity. It makes space for people who actually see you and choose you for who you are anyway. Because those people exist. They do. Trust me. The ones who don't need you to be anyone else than who you are. The ones who celebrate your quirks instead of asking you to hide them. The one who makes you feel more like yourself and not less of yourself. You see, that's belonging. And it doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you have the courage to stop fitting in and start showing up as yourself, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's risky, and even when you're not sure if you'll be accepted. Because here's the thing about true belonging. It's not about finding people who actually like you. It's about finding people who honor who you are. It's about building communities where individuality isn't a threat to connection, but the foundation of it, where people don't have to choose between being themselves or being accepted because they get both. And in that kind of community, it doesn't just tolerate you, it needs you. Not the watered down version, not the easy version, but the real version. Because your individuality, your specific voice, your unique perspective, your particular way of moving through the world, that's not something to apologize for. It's your contribution. And when you bring that into a space where people are doing the same, that's when the magic happens. That's when you stop feeling like you have to earn your place and start realizing you already have one. Not because you fit in, but because you belong. And so if you've been exhausted trying to be enough for everyone, if you've been shape-shifting to keep your spot, or if you've been wondering why connection still feels empty, maybe it's time to stop asking, how do I fit in? And start asking, where do I belong? Because the answer isn't becoming someone else, it's in becoming more of yourself. And it's trusting that the right people, the right community, the right spaces, they'll meet you there. Not because you're perfect, or not because you're easy, but because you're real. And that's the only thing worth belonging to.